Hey everybody, this is Kim, kimandperry.com. Oh, you know what? perryandkim.com, but I bought the other domain, so both of them work now. Doesn't matter who goes first. I want to show you today my favorite Excel trick. I'm not an Excel whiz. I've never taken a class. I'm self-taught. I go to Google and YouTube when I need to make something work, and I find instructions on how to do it. The best trick I've come across is a formula called Vlookup. Vlookups, Vlookups will bring together information from two different tabs in a spreadsheet. So if you have a report, if you have one report and you're looking at it and it's got some good information and you tell yourself, but I wish I could see this about these items, and you can bring that in from another report, then you can use the VLOOKUP to coordinate it all, to match it all up for you. What I have in front of me here as an example is a list of our inventory that's over 9 months old. Perry sent this to me and he told me he'd love to know our sources and the dates purchased so he'd know who to blame. He wants to see who sourced this stuff that didn't sell. Now we have that available in another report from Inventory Lab. I pulled down just our inventory report, and that shows the source and the date purchased and a whole lot of other information for each SKU in ASIN. So how do we get it over here lined up? We don't want to search and find each individual one, right? Because shame on us, we have a whole lot of stuff that's over 9 months old. But what we can do is use a VLOOKUP formula to make it happen really easily. And the first time you see this, it's probably going to look really confusing, but I promise it's not that hard. Once you do it a few times, it'll just click and you'll wonder why you ever thought it was complicated. What I just did here was made 2 blank columns because I want to show you twice. First, we will bring in supplier or source. So when you're going to do a formula in Excel, it always starts with equals. And then when you start to type the name of the formula, Excel is going to guess what you want to do. As soon as I did V, Excel knew I was going to do a VLOOKUP. Now it gives me all the elements that I need for this formula. And right now, that looks a little confusing, right? Do you know what lookup value is? Do you know what table array is? I kind of don't either, but once you understand the formula, these act as nice little reminders just so you know what the next piece of it is. So our lookup value is what are we going to use to look up information. We want to find it based on SKU, right? ASIN would also work, but we'll go with SKU. So I click to highlight that column. Excel is really smart. It comes up here and types it in for me, so I don't have to remember the syntax. I just have to show it what I want to do, and it does the typing. Now we do a comma between every element, just like it shows us down here. And now it's highlighting or bolding table array. The next piece of this is table array. It's asking where do we want it to look for the information. We're going to go over to the inventory tab because that's where the source information is. And we're going to tell it to start looking at MSKU because we told it to use the MSKU to look it up. And we want it to go all the way across to our source. So we're going to highlight that whole area right there. And we can, if that is in our way, oh no, stop, no. That was not supposed to happen. Okay, so we just highlighted that whole area, right? Another comma. Our next element is the column index number. What that means is how far do we want it to go? It's going to start at MSKU. How many columns over do we want Excel to go to find the information that it's looking for? The first and last columns count. So in that table array that we just chose, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We want it to go to the 9th column in that table array. Type number 9. And the last element, what kind of match do we want it to look for? An approximate match or an exact match? And the answer here is exact. You want it to find the exact match for that SKU and bring back the information. It tells you that you can type false. If you want to make it even easier, a little shortcut is that 0 works as false. 0 is false, 1 is true. Use your closing parentheses and hit enter. That is your whole formula right there. And you can see it's all typed up for you. You didn't have to do any of the typing, you just had to show Excel what you wanted it to do. Now if you double click right there on the corner, it'll copy it all the way down. It just pulled in my suppliers for all of those SKUs all at once. I didn't have to match anything up. Now, let's say I want to pull in the cost of goods on these. We'll do the same thing again. I'm going to call it, well, they're not sold. Cost of goods sold? No, we'll call it cost. Equal sign, open parenthesis, equal sign, type the Vlookup, open parentheses. This time, let's say I want it to use the ASIN. I'll highlight the ASIN column, comma. I'll come over to the inventory tab. So now I'm going to tell it to start with the ASIN and go over all the way over to our cost. I highlighted that whole region. Another comma. And how many columns do I want it to go over, counting the first and the last? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 columns. Another comma and 0 to tell it that we want an exact match. Closing parentheses and enter. So there was my cost on that item. Again, double click on the corner and it just brought in my cost of goods on all of these ASINs all at once. Is this magical or what? You don't have to match anything up one at a time, piece by piece. This brings it all in. Run through it a couple of times, play with it, and then start thinking about all the different ways you can apply this, because it saves you so much time once you got it in your head, and it's not that hard. People think it's complicated and scary, and it's not forgiving. If you get something wrong, it's not going to work. You get a comma wrong, you get a single digit wrong, but it's not that hard. And after you get a little bit familiar with it, it won't be hard to troubleshoot. Another warning, Inventory Lab and even Seller Central often changes their reports, and they change where the columns appear. Remember, you're counting where you want to go, you're giving it landmarks. If you have formulas that you're using repeatedly, those formulas are going to break. So you got to keep an eye on results and make sure things make sense, because if they move something, your answers are going to be completely wrong from start to finish. So just do a little troubleshooting and be aware when you're using these formulas, but they save you a lot of time. Over and out.